All right, you guys, welcome back. This is Donovan, and you are now tuned into the Donovan Sadiq Show, and we are going to talk about something that is deep to my heart. If you guys have been paying attention, I posted today about Tech Sergeant Geraldine Lovely. If you guys don't remember who Geraldine Lovely is, she was the tech sergeant in a secured group that on Facebook that had basically asked the question. Her question was, why the fuck do these black women have attitudes? And she's mostly talking about, people in her command and her subordinates that she has run across. And she was taken to task for asking, number one, she gave her opinion and she asked the question when I saw the video, basically she was saying what can I do to be a better supervisor or to reach them to where they don't talk to me a certain way with these fucking attitudes. And of course, probably some Negro dimed her out and saying this is racist. To me, the only thing she did wrong in that video was she was in uniform as she was ranting. She posted it. And when she posted. So outside of that, I believe she didn't do anything wrong, because is what she's saying true? Now, I think what she is saying true as a narrative as a whole. Does it affect all black women? No, I don't think it affects all black women. But as a whole, to a majority of black women, you have a whole generation of black women that have a diva-like attitude. And if you don't believe it's true, watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Watch Love and Hip Hop. Listen to Cardi B. Watch what they're doing. I mean, all these younger generation kids have this attitude. And I mean, would you agree with that, or would you disagree with that?
I would say that's true for some. As always, I don't like to use absolutes. I would say it's true for some. Also, in the article said that she was Sergeant Lovely was disciplined, although they wouldn't disclose what the disciplinary actions were. Mm-hmm. But she was disciplined. Right.
And usually in a situation like that, okay, she basically probably went through an Article 15, because what it was, it did break news. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that it put the Air Force in a bad light, because she's not the only supervisor that has said that. I said that when I was in the military. Of course, I didn't go on Facebook.
You didn't go viral.
Yeah, I didn't go viral to do that. When you talk to first sergeants and in these little groups that we have within the military, we do discuss our airmen and our troops' performance. And that's one of the things that when in the Air Force, we have a performance report called an EPR, which is an Enlisted Performance Report. And that basically kind of tells how that person is doing and where they should be at. And, you get these little levels. And even we have a thing called OPR, Officer Performance Reports. Mm-hmm. And that is the death knell if the military is going to keep you, if you're not going to keep you, and stuff like that. So if you're doing these EPRs, of course that's going to come up. So if Deanna came up and she's on an EPR, one thing I would ask you as her supervisor, well, what do you think one of her major problems is? One of the major things I used to get as a officer from my supervisors, and I didn't really deal with a lot of black people in my unit because I was in the air wing, or I was in an airlift squadron. Not a lot of black people and stuff like that in there, so we didn't have to deal with that problem. But the ones that we did have, big thing came up, attitude. It was always an attitude where her attitude could be better. This could be better. Their attitude could be better. And it's an ongoing problem. And my brother's in the military right now, and I'm very sure he runs across the same thing, and some of his female subordinates. So,
well, let me ask you this. I actually have two questions I want to ask you. The first one is, if you had to write a letter to the Air Force in Sergeant Lovely's defense, what would you say as to why she shouldn't have been punished?
Well, number one, I wouldn't write a letter.
Well, I'm just saying to say hypothetically.
Because that ain't how the military works.
Well,
but
if it had to.
If I had to, I would say, in defense, using my experience, I would write the letter based on my experience and what I've done and whatever the punishment is that she was given. And I'm very sure it wasn't she didn't lose rank. I'm very sure she didn't lose, she got taken from her supervisor position, but in the military, when you're an NCO, you're always a supervisor. It doesn't matter.
This was pretty much probably just for cosmetics.
It's cosmetic. They probably gave her LOR, a letter of reprimand.
Yeah, let's let them know.
Yes, it goes in her file for 6 months, and then it's removed. How do I know about an LOR? Because when I was enlisted, I got a lot of them.
You was bad as hell?
I wasn't bad. I just did certain things that maybe I shouldn't have done. Like, you know, this one guy at the gate, the little gate guards, he stopped my...
Not gate.
Yeah, gate. He stopped my girlfriend at the gate and got her information. Now, she was military too. And she told me about it that night. So the next day, I went into the security forces squadron and started beating his ass.
Why?
And confronted him.
Why did you beat him up?
Because I let him know that that wasn't appropriate what he did. I didn't
You couldn't
appreciate
control
it.
the man?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I confronted him, and then we got an altercation.
Got it.
Yeah, so. And it was...
He's out there on the base walking tall and
That's it.
talking tough.
And I got 30 days correctional custody, confinement type thing.
Well, damn.
You know, but that.
So you have been to jail?
No, that wasn't jail. No, I didn't go to jail. It was a correctional thing. But that was in the days. Remember, I'm an old school guy, so that was in the days of SAC, TAC, and MAC. You could do stuff like that, and it's like, we know things like that happen.
Yeah.
Not like nowadays, where if you do that, your career's over. It's pretty much finished.
Right.
It's not going to be tolerated. Because back in my day, we used to have like keg parties at the end of the day where they get like the beer and stuff.
Oh, I know
and
all about it. I'm just playing.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I'm just
sure you
playing.
do.
I don't know.
But we would drink after work. You
Yeah.
know? And they don't do that now. That's something that's not tolerated anymore. So,
Yeah.
So it was a different time and place. And
So my second question.
sure.
Can we all just chalk it up to that's just the way a lot of black women are? Maybe we don't have attitudes per se. Maybe that's just our personality. Maybe that's just how
Sure.
we are.
No, I would agree with that. But at the same time, though, isn't it funny? You're in a secret group where you're supposed to express ideas and your opinions. And I bet you it was a black woman that dined her out, because it seems like every time, it's like when I talk about weed. What's the first response if I say something about weed?
Nigga, who the hell you think you is?
No. And they'll say, oh, it's just easier to do it this way. They'll come up with this. It's like they have a sheet and they go, okay, if he says this, this is your response. If he says this, this is your response.
Oh, it's a go-to, the talking points.
Yeah, your talking points. Because no matter who you go to, they have a response. How can you defend pink hair? How do you defend that? But
you can defend it because in America, everybody, you can wear what the hell you want
That's
to wear.
true.
That's how you defend it. If I want to go out there with some pink draws on top of my bald ass head, I can do that.
And that's true. But in the context of why should I take you seriously as a 47-year-old woman?
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Play devil's advocate, goddamn.
Maybe I don't care if you take me seriously.
Right.
Now, this is where the black woman going to come out. If you ain't writing my bills,
Yeah, see, there
you
it
ain't
is.
doing this
See
and
what I'm
that
saying?
for me, and you ain't blah, blah, blah,
Wait.
I don't care if you respect me or not.
No, wait. Or here's the thing. What's the go-through thing for the black woman? I got 6 degrees. I got a master's degree. I didn't ask you about your education.
You got a 6 degrees, a master's degree, and no man and no money.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? There's a playbook that they go to say. Some things you just say, hey, we just let it go, and it is what it is. Like I said, if you have a weave, I'm not against. People think I'm against weave. I'm against weave in the fact that it's not for me. I don't like it.
Right.
But if that's what you want to do,
Have you ever dated a woman that wore a weave?
yes, I have.
And then what was the conversation like with that?
We didn't go to the conversation.
Did it hinder your relationship because of her weave? So what?
No, it didn't hinder my relationship, but I've let it be known that she's beautiful the way she is in her natural state. And she had a whole gang of hair up under that.
I'm going to just keep it real with you. Since we on the top, I don't know how we transitioned from Sergeant Lovely to Weeds, but since we got here, let's go. I'm not bald-headed, to say the least, okay?
No, not at all.
You guys can see on some of the videos and stuff that I wear the crochet braids. They're not actually hooked to my hair crochet because it's easier sometimes than to have to. And I admittedly, it didn't take me all day to do this. But we have to go through things with the weather drying our hair out and, just the maintenance of it. So sometimes it is a bit much. And there's just some styles that are easy to do.
Sure.
Some people put a wig on top of it and keep on stepping. So,
because
a lot of...
Sorry, more like with that.
A lot of women that wear wigs aren't bald. I
Right.
mean, hell, Beyonce, she's the queen of wearing wigs. And her mom put up a photo of her natural hair and it's like past the middle of her back.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm against that. What I'm saying is most real men don't like it, number one. But number two, if you're going to do it and that's what you want to do, I have no problem with it. It's just, I'm just going to tell you from a man's perspective. You guys are looking at it from a woman's perspective.
Okay.
This is a baseball hat. My hair gets sweaty and things like that. I got to wash this hat every now and then to keep it clean. So you got a weave on top of your head. When we're trying to get with you, don't you think that we smell the sweat?
Okay, see, that's a whole horse of a different color, y'all. If a woman's weave is funky, that's a hygiene issue.
No, exactly. But what I'm saying is, though, some women, they don't realize that that's going on or whatever.
Well, if that's your woman, but like, baby, your wig is kind of musty.
Right.
Okay,
right.
you might need to go put some Clairol or
something. But
exactly.
But what I'm saying is, a lot of women don't realize they wear the weave too long, or you know what I mean. And it's like, and if we say something,
well, then I'm just personally speaking, if your woman is wearing a funky weave, I can't believe we're having this conversation.
Yeah, let's have that conversation.
If your woman is wearing a funky weave and you say to her the best way possible, baby. The rabbit is getting old, don't you think?
yeah. We got to change this rabbit up.
And she said, you don't tell me what to do. This is my way, smells mine. Then that's probably not the woman you need to be
Exactly.
Because there's one thing I'm not going to do. I'm not going to lay up. This is me speaking from a woman's point of view. I'm not going to continuously. I understand, baby, if you had a hard day at work, maybe you want to lay down or something, you kind of right, okay, I can deal with that. Because I know you're going to go take a shower. But I'm not going to continuously lay up with no funky-ass man.
Right.
And so I think that's a hygiene issue and it's a state of mind to where you're walking around and your wig is funky. And because I smell some pretty funky weaves and it's the equivalent of hot dog water and old musty gym socks.
True story. We were at the NAACP meeting and there was an older lady that sat in front of us. Now, if you're going to fool us, and she would have a PhD. She was a doctor. Didn't you see her track that was going? Her thing.
Well, I didn't have the vantage point that you had because you were sitting directly behind her, but you were captivated by her weave for most of the evening.
Yes, and
her weave had you drawn in,
and it was ridiculous. And this is an educated woman. So what I'm saying is, here's my problem with the weave, and this has been my problem. When you wear your hair, it's Afrocentric. So I can look at you and say, "Wow, it's a black woman. Her hair looks." It looks like that could be her hair.
It's grooving with everything. It's okay.
But we're getting women that look like Morlocks, that look like, you know what I mean? And that's my problem with it. And to me, you look like a clown.
Listen, I would be
Your hair is not that straight.
I would be lying to say, well, black women can get their hair straight because I don't put heat on my hair ever.
Right.
But if I was to rake which I don't do, rake a flat iron through my hair, I could get a pretty bone straight.
Exactly. And it would be really
I would be lying to say that I haven't seen some weaves or wigs that look pretty outrageous, and in the fact that, this is just not a good representation.
It's not a good representation. And I say it all the time. Sometimes I'll be places, I can't tell if that's a transvestite or if it's a woman.
Well,
because some of these women look so hard in the face or, whatever. Or if you're dark skinned, like our jackets, if you're dark like that and you got a light colored weave on your head or wig or whatever it is, it really is a scary situation when people look at it.
I think, honestly, at the end of the day, regardless of we're talking about weave or whatever, I just think it's about self-love and the love of each other. Because I'm not a woman who wears a wig, so I can't speak to that negatively or positively. I just know why I don't. But I think if men, for some of these women that you're speaking of, if men would start, black men especially, start speaking more, not all, but some more positively to and about black women, maybe, just maybe, I don't know for sure, some of these black women will feel free enough to take the hair off. But again, I know a lot of women who wear the hair for convenience. It's not, listen, I work out quite a bit, so it's not, your girlfriend's calling. It's not always easy to work out.
I understand.
And I couldn't maintain this working out, sweating all over the place.
Okay, I've got a solution. Go see Black Panther, and hopefully y'all will get rid of that. And
did you finally see the movie?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I've been so damn busy.
Right.
But anyway, let me get back to the original post there. Sergeant Lovely. I don't think she was wrong. She probably got an LOR, and that's how the Air Force is going to address it. Right. She will probably continue. She most likely will continue in her career. But you know what? I don't think she was wrong because it is a thing that is going on within our community. Right. So talking about the NAACP, and people always say this, and I'm going to say this as well. We went to the NAACP, and what was his name? Cooper, Mr. Cooper.
Dr. Cooper.
Dr. Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
He was there. He was the guest speaker. He was really the only reason I went
Mm-hmm.
to NAACP. And Dr. Cooper was there. Here we are at the NAACP, and I saw nothing but older women with all these master weaves, and they're all educated. You know, and to me...
Did you say master weaves or
yeah,
master degrees?
Master degrees with master weaves. But I'm going to tell you, I'm serious. To me, the message gets lost. How can I have pride in the NAACP when I see women that don't even love themselves?
Again, because see, Donovan, you finna get your ass in trouble.
I'll get in trouble.
I'm gonna help you.
I'm just saying, that's how I feel.
I'm gonna help you get your ass out of trouble, okay?
Thank you.
Because a woman wears a weave, and I've said this to you 100,000 times. I don't mean she don't love herself.
That's
a
true.
weave does not equate to lack of love of self. It doesn't.
No,
I agree with you in some respects that some of the weaves are just, come on, sister.
Right.
That weave is a bit much, but I don't think that equates to a woman not loving herself. I'm telling you.
No, I agree with you.
I got a head full of hair.
No, I agree with you.
So I understand the convenience.
No, I agree with you. What I just said was, Donovan, feel you don't love yourself. That's how I feel.
And you know what, Brother K, nobody take your opinion away from you. It is yours and yours alone.
You know, when I see a woman doing that, especially these so-called educated women, who should be an example to the younger women.
Well, maybe they're busy. They got all these, they got to go to this career. And they don't have time.
No, it's obvious. It's obvious.
But you know what, remember back in the day when our mamas had time to comb their hair and they went to work and stuff?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just, just throwing that out there. I'm not saying that's...
No, but it's like you. Okay, if you're going to do that, put Afrocentric weave in your hair. That's what I'm saying.
I get it. So the blonde...
the blonde highlights and stuff. That here you're at the NAACP and you see Negro-pean women. You know what I mean? That's my problem. It's like, how... I just don't get it. You know, I mean, it's different if you're in there and you got the boom shakalaka braids and you're, hey, I'm proud of my heritage or whatever. Yeah. But all I'm seeing is Negro-pean stuff. And I'm like, you don't love yourself. Don't. How could you sit here and tell me about the NAACP?
I will say this again.
And you read the NAACP thing. They haven't done nothing since 1965. Done.
That was odd.
That was
drop. Very odd.
And
they did say that as, I guess, their mantra on the bottom. Their greatest achievement was civil rights.
Civil rights and Voting Rights Act.
Voting Rights Act, yeah.
I haven't done shit since. And again, I'm at the NAACP as a man, and I'm a real man, and I'm pro man. I'm not anti-woman. I'm just
You're a chauvinist.
Yeah, I'm not a feminist.
Right.
I see all these women, which they have to step up and do because there ain't a lot of brothers doing that. But it's like, NAACP is full of women. Like, where are the men? Where are these young men? Ray's sitting at home playing PlayStation. If the daughter is at the NAACP meeting, why aren't you making this boy go? I want answers, goddamn.
I ain't. That's not my situation.
All right, but you
my daughter used to go to the meetings. I used to make her go.
Again, a daughter. But do you see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
If I was a member of this organization, this is why the organization is dying out. I'm not saying because women.
Well, there was some boys there. Remember, the boy who won some award or something.
Yeah, but two of the boys were Hispanic.
He didn't know what award it was that he won.
Right. Two of the boys were Hispanic. I'm talking about in general. Where are our young men?
Well, maybe I should be asking you that. I mean, y'all, it's the men that needs to teach the men. Just like it's the women that need to teach the women.
I've taught my boys.
But it goes outside of our home. Once you taught your boys, now go teach them. Wait a minute. I'm just saying.
You know I teach.
Nigga. Yes, I did say nah, nigga.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't you not too long ago talking about why can't we hold you accountable?
You
now
can't
why you want to hold the women accountable? Go hold the men accountable.
Right, but I'm saying for me, I go out there and I school them brothers all the time.
I wasn't speaking to you specifically, but I'm thinking that's just the men's job. Just like it's my job.
Right.
I talk to young women all the time whenever I can because I do firmly believe in each one, teach one, each one, reach one. I really do believe that because, unfortunately, a lot of women and a lot of these young girls have not had... Oh, my God, I tagged you in some on Instagram. Did you see it?
I did.
This, y'all, this black mama, I've not wanted to fight somebody so bad as much as I want to fight this lady when I watched this video. Apparently her daughter, I think she was 13 or 14 or something, wasn't doing the things she wanted to do. I think her grades are bad, her room was messed up and all this other stuff. And I don't know if she went on Facebook Live to do this. She gets on the girls, she's recording the girl, and she's like, look at this bastard, look at this nasty such and such, showing her underwear, talking about she don't change her pads, and she's stupid, and, all this other stuff. And I'm like, I was so mad. I was so mad because I'm like, you dumb, and I'm getting sick, y'all, so that's why I'm losing my mind, so don't charge it to me later.
Right.
You dumb mother. That's not a reflection on her, you dumb ass. That's a reflection on you as her mama, because if she don't know when to change her pad, ain't you the one supposed to be telling her that?
And teaching her that.
And she don't know how to talk about she don't take. I mean, she just, I really wanted to go kidnap this little girl and steal her away from her mom after I beat her head in with a shovel, her mother. It's like, is that, you're ruining this girl's confidence. And then, and I'm not shaming big people because I'm not skinny. Right. But so then the lady shows, moves the camera and then gets a glimpse of her in the mirror. And I'm like, you big hippo. You don't look like you hygienically sound. How the hell are you talking about this little girl who's your daughter, who you're supposed to be teaching her? And so the point that I'm even making and bringing that up is, we got to hold each other accountable. But what if I come across that little girl and later on in life, and she's dealt with a mama like her? So her mom dropped the ball. I get the ball in my court. I get a choice whether I want to mentor her or talk to her. But I think that's my job too, to try to help her. Okay. And so I think we just need to do that more often. Everybody doesn't come from, pretty good solid homes. We didn't have the perfect household, but we didn't have issues, as the one, in that video I was just describing, or the stuff that we see for everybody. We didn't have those issues. And so we need to take those people under our wings and say, you know what, maybe you didn't learn this. Like the girls I was talking to the other day. Maybe they just didn't know. Well, one of the girls that I talked to, was in a relationship with a guy who wasn't treating her right. And, you could tell she really loves him, but maybe she hasn't been taught that you are, worth so much more. You're worth more than being with a guy who's only going to give you a little bit of what you deserve.
Well, there's a whole generation of people that don't know. That's what I'm getting at.
And it's going to be like up to you and me. And people who are watching and listening to say, you know what, that may be the case, but listen, you ain't got to take a person into your home. It could take 5 minutes to just talk to somebody. Yeah. Well,
it's just like growing up and you had that teacher that was really influential to
that changed your life. Right. There's somebody
took an interest in
that changed a person's life. It could be it don't even have to be 5 minutes. It could be 5 words that you impart upon somebody, and they go change the rest of their life for the better. I had a Coach Spain in Japan. I was in 7th grade. He told us the story. How he had to do everything to go to college. He lost his father and stuff. And he did everything, and that kind of inspired me to do what I had to do. But anyway, we during the festivities of the NAACP. There was Dr. Cooper there, and he spoke about group economics. And I want you guys to take a look. I did videotape the event, and I want you guys to take a look at this video. For those of you guys that are on the podcast, go to YouTube channel, and you will see it over there, News from the Edgemont. You'll see it over there, and go to my personal channel. You guys will see it. And we'll hashtag Dr. Cooper on there as well, so you could look his stuff up. But please take a look at this, listen to his message, and comment and suggest. So now roll that beautiful beam footage.
I also thank all of you for coming out. I just want to pay homage to the NAACP, because one of the things that I talk about in our generation is really understanding where we come from. And when we talk about all movements, you talk about movements that started in the church and that extended within the community that way. And the topic that I want to talk about, there's a couple of things. I want to talk about some of the issues and some of some remedies to those issues. Before I do that, I want to just say that I appreciate you for taking the time. We've been here for about 2.5 years at this office, and we're looking to expand, maybe even across the street over by the restaurant over there, just because we're growing. And so what we do as a company is we do financial service. Good to see you. I'm seeing people I know. We do financial services, and specifically our focus is on the area of financial literacy. And what we do is we sit down with individuals, families, and business owners to teach them about the fundamental principles of money and how it works. And more specifically in the process, what we look to do is to teach people how to go from where they are today financially to where they need to go so they can have a life in retirement the way they planned it. The problem is, think about this. How many of you received a world financial education in school? By show of hands. Look around. We didn't. I was an educator. I used to be a school teacher. I was a vice principal at 29 years old. I was a school principal. And the reason why is because I was told you got to go to school, you got to get good grades so you can get a good what? Get a good job. And so I did what I was supposed to do. I did everything that I was told, and I get to this institution, and I start to realize the higher I go up, the more political it becomes. I'm sure you know a little bit about that, right? The politics in school districts. And I really got into it to make a difference in the lives of kids. Once I realized that change that I was seeking to make wasn't happening, I had to find a way out. So I was 34 years old. I'm literally at a crossroads in my life, and I had no idea what I was going to do. But what happened is that when I look back on my life, and I looked on the fact that when my first son was born, I realized the money that I was making wasn't enough. And I started finding other streams of income. And I started to realize that really, lo and behold, I'm really an entrepreneur. And I think as a community, we've shied away from entrepreneurship. And I want to talk a little bit about the importance of that, more specifically about recycling black dollars. But before we do that, I want you to imagine for a second a community where you have black doctors, a community where you have black dentists, a community where you have black movie theaters. When you go to the store, you have people there who look like you. Imagine a place like that where the dollar recycles within that community between 36 and 1,000 times. Imagine what that would look like. Like, that would be such a great future to have, wouldn't it be? Yeah. The reality is that we had that. 1921 was called, back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a place called Black Wall Street.
That's right.
And it was a place where we understood the value of collective work and responsibility, where we understood the value of cooperative economics. And so what happened as a result of that cooperative economics, it was exploded. And it was a group of people who had envy on a community, and Tulsa, Oklahoma was no more. And I believe that was the ongoing nature of the fact that we became concerned about coming together as a community. I think that did irreparable damage. And my plea to us as a community is that we have to come together financially. We need to come together economically so we can begin to empower our communities. So what I'd like to do briefly is I'd like to show a quick video about this. My wife and I put this together, and it's about 6 minutes long, and then I want to talk after that. Okay, we're good. There's 2 lights right there. I don't know if it's going to get too dark, but let's see. What I want to do is I want to have a brief discussion, because we talked about the problem, right? We chronicle the problem all the time. I think there's one more light that needs to be turned on right there. Thank you so much. We can talk all day about what was and what the problems were, but the real question is, what's the solution? And if we know what the solution is, the real question is, are we willing to do it? Because that's the hard part, right?
Scary.
Sorry. All right, so now that my flow is messed up. What was I saying?
Right now.
Right now. Oh man. So the real question is can we gather the collective will to do what's supposed to be done? And let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about specifically. Asians do a phenomenal job of recycling their dollars. Their dollar recycles between 20 and 30 times within their community. I have a very good friend of mine. I've been going to their dry cleaners for the last 17 years. And I was talking to him about business and merchant services, and one of our kids was in the battalion. And we actually collected some money from him to, advertise his business. And so on his bank card, on his check, he banks with an Asian bank, right? And he can go to a supermarket and buy food that's authentic to his culture because they're there. And so when you look at that community, that's a model. That's wonderful. When you look at the Jewish community, 17 times a dollar recycles within their community. Within the Latino community, they do a fantastic job. Their dollar recycles 6 times within the community. And so within the African American community, 6 hours. Think about that for a second. 6 hours. Literally, we get paid and then we spend. If we were a country, let me give you another statistic. If we were a country, we'd be the 15th most wealthy country in the world if you took all of our resources together. So then the question is why are we broke? And the answer to that is that we're not broke. One, we're not appropriating our money effectively. And two, we're not appropriating our money within our community. Right? Because when we talk about recycling black dollars, we're not talking about to the detriment of other people. See, that's the one thing that sometimes gets us caught up is that we think that when we're supporting each other, that we're denying other people. That's not the case at all. The problem is that when we go to a black establishment, I'm speaking in general, I'm not talking to every person, but you know, you go to a black restaurant and sometimes you may not get the best service or maybe something wasn't a little something was off, right? And then what happens? You know what? I'm never coming back to your restaurant ever. I will not come back here. With that kind of service, you ought to be out of business. Okay, we go into another establishment. Sir, your service was terrible. The next time I come back, it better be good. What does that tell you? There is a what? A next time. And so sometimes we don't give each other the level of grace and the opportunity for there to be a next time. Now, I'm not saying that we need to be okay with shady and shabby service. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what we need to do as a community is we need to begin to empower and enrich each other with black businesses. Think about this. The reason why our dollars come in and they go out is because we don't have enough black businesses. Less than 2% of all businesses are owned by African Americans within the United States. Okay, and so that is a problem. So the solution, there's a gentleman, he wasn't able to make it tonight. His name is Reginald Webb. And there is a group that he's establishing called SEEM, the Cooperative Economic Empowerment Movement. And if you go to SEEM.ie, SEEM-IE.org, you'll get an idea of the organization, but it's brand spanking new. There's a lot of pages that haven't even been developed yet. But I want to give you an idea of what it is before we bring up the next speaker, because I can tell that he's got a lot of value to share, and I'm looking forward to hearing from him. What SEEM is the Cooperative Economic Empowerment Movement. What happened is the ideas around pooling our resources as a community. There are 330,000 African Americans, and what we did is a scientific research study on the population of African Americans in every city within the Inland Empire, going from Pomona all the way through the valley. Pomona is the first city that's not part of the IE. And so what we realized in this scientific study is that African Americans, in terms of socioeconomic status, have actually a higher socioeconomic status than our brothers and sisters in Los Angeles, interestingly enough. And so the whole idea is this, is that each person buys one share of ownership into this concept. And so the goal is ultimately to get about 150,000 African Americans to buy one share of ownership, which is $100. Now think about this. Let's say you had 3 gas stations in your neighborhood, and one of those gas stations you owned. Which of those 3 gas stations would you go to? The one you own, right? And so the whole idea is that we understand that if you bring a market to a business, they're apt to do business with you. So one of the things that we're looking to do is to purchase gas stations. Because by show of hands, how many of you drive? Okay, that's what I thought. And so think about this for a second. You go to a gas station owner and say, listen, what we want to do is there are 7,622 African Americans within a 7-mile radius who are ready and willing and itching to come service you. So what we're going to do, what we'd like to do, is we'd like to purchase shares of your business to bring you more money. And then what happens, you buy those shares at a discount, you bring extra revenues to that location. The gas prices go down. So therefore, more revenues come from more people. Because when you've got economies, every economy is about two things: supply and what? Demand. So when you increase the demand and the supply is there, the cost goes down. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So Mr. Webb has 17 McDonald's. So he knows how to run a business systematically. And so the concept of seeing comes from a group of people called the Mondragon in Spain. And back in the 1940s, they were economically depressed. And what happened is they came together to create an economic cooperative. Now the Mondragon, which is right by the Pyrenees Mountains, collectively, it's a $10 billion operation.
Wow.
So another example of what we're looking to do is, how many of you have heard of Mommy Helen's Pies over in San Bernardino? You know about that, okay?
Yes, good.
Well, she's on our radar. And I had a conversation with Eddie, the owner now, and one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to go to Stater Brothers and say, listen, there are 3,286 African Americans within a 2-mile radius. There are 10,526 within a 12-mile radius. And what we'd like for you to do is put Mommy Helen's Pies on your shelves. And what we will do as a community is we will make sure that those pies fly off the shelves. Now imagine Mommy Helen's Pies, as soon as they come in, we got a line ready to take them off the shelves. You know what happens from that one Stater Brothers? One Stater Brothers turns into 2 Stater Brothers.
Right.
2 Stater Brothers turns into 4 Stater Brothers. Now what happens is now she's got to change her economic model. Why? Because people were coming into her stores. Now it goes from a distribution where it's localized to now going to national distribution. So then what we do is help Mommy Helen's increase their distribution channels in terms of, being able to get more inventory, more machinery to produce more. What happens to the valuation of her business? It shoots up. Now with all of these Stater Brothers with Mommy Helen's Pies in, now they starts to get more widely distributed. Now what happens to other black-owned businesses? Because they start to see that as a community, we begin to speak up. Those of you in politics, you may know this. Imagine being able to start to have people start to represent our values because we become unified in our voice. Just so you know, a council chair costs about $30,000. You come collectively with $90,000, you have a voice. See, here's the problem. What we did is in slavery, we fought for our physical freedom. And then we went into the Reconstruction era. And then what happened during that time? We began to thrive in government. We began to thrive because it was one man, one vote, right? But then Jim Crow laws came out to start to change that process, right? So then it went from one person, one vote. Then you had, these, black codes and then, voting restrictions and all of that. And then we began to fight for civil rights. And then what happened, as we talked about in the video, is we went from segregation to desegregation, but we've not yet integrated. And the reason why, and we can have a debate on another time, about the values of desegregation versus integration. But my point is that as a community, we've never struggled for economic empowerment. We've never struggled for economic freedom. Because what happened is we've been psychologically implanted with the idea that we need to go work for someone else. See, there was a time when 90% of us worked for ourselves. Now 90% work for someone else. And so now what we want to talk about is, one, we begin to take our dollars and start to empower each other so we can begin to open our own businesses. And then as those businesses are open, we want to empower those businesses to run with excellence. Not just run in the mill. We want them to provide an equal or greater service for equal or lesser price. So that in every measurable category, we have a standard of excellence. And then we begin to patronize that. Let me give you the last example, and I want to go ahead and turn the floor back over. What's going to happen is Mr. Webb sits on the board with LA County Fair. You guys have heard of Pomona Fair, right?
Right.
Well, what's going to happen within the next year or two, we're looking at August. Either it's going to be August of 2018, for sure August of 2019. We're pushing for August of 2018. The second week of that year, the fair has its lowest attendance. And so what we're looking to do, we're going after different artists, like we're looking for Kurt Franklin and different R&B singers and different people that will attract us as a community to days there at the event. Now imagine you've got thousands and thousands of people. Our goal before then is to have 50,000 people as a part of SEAM. After that, our goal is to have 100,000 people as a result of that event. Imagine this, you have a business and now we have an event where thousands and thousands of people converge to one location and your event gets showcased. You want me to tell you how valuable that is? I'll give you a quick story and I'll wrap up. There was a restaurant called Harold and Bells. Have you heard of it? If you've heard of it, raise your hand. I just want to see. Okay, you've heard of Harold and Bells, right? Okay, how many of you have not heard of Harold and Bells? Just by show of hands. Okay, this is a good number. Okay, so it's a restaurant in Los Angeles, and they offer soul food. It's very good. Let me give you an idea. When they first started in the fairgrounds, they were in the back left. Nobody knew where they were. And so there was a conversation to get them into a place where it was widely recognized and seen. In the last 2 years that they've been at the fair, they make more during the time they're at the fair. They make 50% of their revenues during that time period. You hear what I just said? 50% of their annual revenue happens within weeks. So imagine being able, how many of you have aspirations to be a business owner? Just by show of hands. Okay. Now, I want to encourage you to pursue those aspirations. And for those of you that are not business owners or have no aspirations, I want to encourage you to consider it, because you need to have an additional stream of income. Because if your boss fires you, you're done. Right? Let me give you a quick, just real quick. How many of you either have been or you know somebody that's been laid off? Show of hands. You either have been or you know somebody. Please raise your hands. Look around. That's about what, 50%? It's about 50%. That's not saying that 50% of the room's been laid off, but we know somebody. Does that make sense? So my point is that what we want to do is first think about considering being an entrepreneur to create an additional stream of income. Then think about taking the income you have and recycling your dollars within those businesses. And then thirdly, being able to help, if you have expertise in that area, to help those businesses thrive and become better. Why? Because 6 hours is not enough time to create a thriving community. We've got to get better. And my challenge and my encouragement is for us to come together, because everything that we've ever done together, unified, has never failed. Think about what we've been through as a community. When we're talking about whips and chains and looking at the prospects of being enslaved the rest of your life, but still struggling because you knew that maybe not in your lifetime, but maybe your kids' lifetime, that they could possibly be free. Maybe not in your kids' lifetime, but maybe in your grandkids' lifetime, it was a possibility for them to be free. And even though they knew they couldn't do it in their lifetime, yet they still struggle. But now what happens is that we've gotten to a place where we're comfortable. We live in our nice homes. We live in our middle-class lifestyle. We get in our nice cars. We put on our nice clothes, and we think everything's okay. And everything isn't okay. Because I come from a school district where African-American kids, on every measurable, every type of measurement possible of things good, we were on the bottom. Graduation rates, UC attendance rates, you're talking about valedictorian, we were on the bottom rung. Even lower than second language learners of English. Am I telling the truth, educators?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
When that happens, there's an issue. And if we stand by and allow those issues to persist, we can't say shame on them. That's on us. And when we go and we're asking for monies and we look outside of our community, you think that there is a vested interest in empowering our community? No. So if not us, then who?
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that everybody that's outside of our community, I shouldn't even have to justify what I'm saying. That's not the truth for everybody, but when we're talking about as a community, we need to empower ourselves.
Right.
And when we get to that place, you guys, we will rise. But until that happens, we're going to stay stuck. And what we need to do is we need to come together and love each other, but first we have to love ourselves. And when we learn about our history and our culture and we teach it to our kids, that listen, how many of you went to see Black Panther? I'm gonna wrap up with this one. I was sitting in there just so proud because in every way that movie was done with excellence. And you know, because like just the notion, like come on, my chocolate sisters, like seriously, like right, like you know, before it was a paper bound bag contest, and man, come on, man. And the whole notion of what good hair is. I'm like, we don't need no hair, just cut it off. We just look sexy. We don't even need no hair. You say the So I'm just excited. I like the movie so much. It's at 700 million. I want to put it over $1 billion. I'm gonna go So listen, if we can come together and get this excited about a movie, let's come together and getting excited about economic empowerment.
He's talking the real.
Yes, he is talking the real. And it's something we often talk about. You know, I talk about group economics, especially on my show on Sundays, a lot because learning the basis and the basics of group economics. And this model is not original to any to him or I. Dr. Claude Anderson has spent a copious amount of years developing, the group economics model, telling us in great detail as to what it is we are supposed to be doing as a Black community in order to get to the next level, to get what's ours. Because Dr. Claude Anderson also talks about how we as Black people, as he also illustrated, are going lower and lower and lower down in society to where it's going to come a point where we're non-existent.
Exactly.
We're almost already at that point to where people are like, oh, another person got murdered. Oh, okay, what's for dinner tonight, honey?
Right.
It's not even,
It's pretty much there now.
It's just like, it's every day. It is there. And so, what is it going to actually take for us to get the message and start saying, okay, it's now or never?
Right. Well, it's just like the example Dr. Cooper used in the video. And it's, what he was saying was, you get a Black gas station, and we say we're going to take all our dollars and go to that Black gas station. Now, I am all for that concept, but unfortunately, the white man's ice is cooler than ours.
Yeah, well, me personally, I don't care. Well, I do care, but if it was a Black gas station where we live, if it wasn't that close to my house, I would definitely drive over there to get the gas. I would. I mean, because at the end of the day, we have to realize it's only us that's going to save us, and it's going to be our dollars.
But I don't want you to get the money because I see you driving around a Lexus.
Yeah, that's okay. But, then when I open up a business, I hope that you will return the favor. See, it's reciprocity.
Yeah, but if I don't, I'm not a business person, so how do I?
Well, I mean, you're definitely not getting nothing out of giving your money to the white people. They ain't giving, the Asian people aren't doing nothing for you. So it might as well be us.
Good point.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be us to save us. And I keep saying that because it's true. Nobody else is coming to save us. If, Habib can have a gas station.
Sure.
Why can't Jerome have a gas station?
Why is it that you have
LenCooper, Cardenias?
Right, Cardenias.
Yeah.
They have, and they all shop there. They don't shop at the other store. They shop at their own grocery store.
That's because that's what you're
their own
supposed to do.
banking.
That's group economics.
And that's why Dr. Cooper, we're going to have him on your show, on your podcast, and invite him out, and so he can talk about it a little bit more. I think it'll be a great thing because we talk about this all the time,
right?
Finance and stuff like that. Now, I'm gonna put it to the test. I went to Uncle M's Southern Smokehouse.
Watch out now. That's a personal childhood friend of mine.
Yes, Uncle M's.
Both of them.
You know these people?
Absolutely. All my life.
You did?
All my life. We can go up there right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can get a free plate.
I don't know about all that.
Right. But
I don't know how to. I listen. Before you go, I don't know how the food tastes in all fairness because I'm a vegan.
Yeah, I already went.
Okay, but
it was okay.
My man ate it and he loved it.
Okay, remember I'm
piggy.
I'm born in Louisiana, so nobody cooks like my mom.
Donovan likes glory greens out the can. So.
No, I do that because I get too lazy. But I just made because it's been cold. Got my crock pot out, and made some red beans and rice, and I almost ate. But I'm almost done eating the whole thing myself.
I'm really lying, but continue.
No, it's refrigerator.
Go ahead.
But Uncle M, so we're gonna put this thing to the test.
Okay.
And I told him I was going to put this on the show and stuff like that. So Uncle M's, you guys check it out. It's www.UncleEms.com. Check it out. It's here in Moreno Valley, right off of
Frederick and Alessandro.
Fredericks and Alessandro's. And check it out. They have some. The brisket is really good. So,
I've heard nothing but rave reviews about it. Like I said, unfortunately for me, I can't eat it because I'm vegan.
Yeah.
But everybody I've talked to, including my man, who is, you think your ass is picky.
Yeah.
That dude is picky.
Well, you know.
He loved it. So I have to take his word for it.
And I have to say their cabbage was good. Okay, so we're going to be highlighting them so you guys can get ready for that. So since we're talking about finances, here's one thing that I've been putting out there and I've been saying.
Time for Kramer and stop trading, Jim.
All right, Morgan Stanley just blows me away here. GW Pharmaceuticals, that is symbol GWPH. This stock will be up the most of any stock other than Allergan today. Why? Because this is a cannabis stock. I am shocked at this. Now, of course, it's not a medical marijuana stock. They have a novel platform. It is an epilepsy company. It is when people ask me, Jim, what marijuana stock do you like? I always go cannabis. I always go GW Pharma. Stock had just basically, it was up the most of any stock I follow, came all the way back. This is a timely upgrade. People are now going to buy the $103 price target. People are now going to go for every single one of these penny stocks. Forget it. If you like cannabis, and I'm not necessarily speaking about cannabis, it's GW Pharma. Bold recommendation by Morgan Stanley.
What's their target? 103 at
103. It's probably going to be
now.
there in about 48 hours. Jeez, I mean, this is a real company. It is a cannabinoid company, but there are people there's a lot of pent-up demand to play medical marijuana stocks. You want a real company that dabbles in it. It's GW Pharma.
Now let's check in on the top business story of the day, and Jameson Burko joins us now from BNN. Good morning, Jameson.
Good morning, Kara.
Thank you so much for being here, and today we're talking pot.
We are. Well, I mean, we kind of have to, given what's been going on with the markets now, and we have the TSX at a new record high, and you can actually thank a pot producer for that. Canopy Growth's our largest marijuana producer in this country. They're $1 billion more valuable today than they were at the same time yesterday. And then, you could point to some practical explanations for that. There's a new investment fund on the New York Stock Exchange that includes Canopy, so there's some American investors that are able to get involved. They did just get approved. They can now convert an old tomato greenhouse, in Quebec. They can now grow pot in that warehouse. So there's some logical stuff. Plus, California is just days away from having a legal recreational market that's going to be about as big as Canada's. But it's difficult to really justify. I mean, that's a 20% surge in one day. 50% over the course of December. It's a lot of certainly mania, similar to what you see when people are kind of buying into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. There's just a lot of excitement and euphoria, and then people tend to pile into stocks that have that surrounding them.
Okay, so is that the reason that a lot of investment professionals are sort of weary of some of these stocks?
It's one of the main reasons, absolutely, Pira, especially when you look at the fact that, there's no real way to value what the market is going to be, right? I mean, you see some estimates that say it could be a $2 billion a year industry, could be a $5 billion, $10 billion industry. We don't really know how big it is right now because, of course, it's illegal right now. There's also this belief that governments are going to get it exactly right in terms of that big goal of taking that totally illicit market and moving it entirely into a legal market. So being able to do that and governments doing it exactly perfectly as they intend, I mean, history suggests that governments don't tend to do things perfectly every single time, especially when they're doing unprecedented things like they're doing right now.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Okay, well, story will obviously continue to develop over the next few months, and we'll continue to follow it.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for being here, Jameson.
It's my pleasure.
That was
No, but seriously, seriously. Let me ask you this: you're an educated woman.
I think so.
And a lot of people don't know your educational background, but I happen to know it. So I know you're highly educated. Why would you want to share? Seriously,
I want to share because if anybody knows how the stock market works, you buy low and anticipate that it does great things, and then your little, let's say $5 little buy-in is now $200. Well,
exactly. Well, the stock is 34, so I'll get you a full stock. But what I'm saying is, this particular stock is cannabis. For those that don't know what cannabis is, that is weed.
The ganja.
Yeah, Mary Jane. Whatever.
That's sticky.
Right, yeah, whatever.
We acting like we smoke it.
Never touch the stuff.
Me either.
Okay, we got a lot of relatives that do it. Now, why? And I've never done drugs in my life, illegal drugs in my life. But
I like that.
yeah.
Illegal.
Well, everybody's done drugs, but I've never done illegal drugs.
Ibuprofen, did that count?
No, that's okay. But you know I'm on a lot of drugs because of my military service. But prescription. But here's the thing. I am smart enough to know that with the cannabis thing going on in Colorado, and it's getting more and more legal as things get going, and next is going to be prostitution.
Well, in California, it's legal.
Yeah, it's legal,
Yeah.
but you can't be in your car and do it. It's legal to have in your house. So basically, the law really hasn't changed.
So you can't just be token up as you're walking down the
Yeah,
street.
you can't be walking down the street doing it. You can't be in the park
Right.
doing it. But
Some people still doing it though.
yeah, but people are still doing it. And then when they get arrested, they want to fight and stuff. No, you can't do it. But
So
anyway,
the law says you can have it, but in your home.
right.
Okay. Right.
You can't be driving around and it's like having an open container in your car. You can't have weed in your car still.
So it's the equivalent of the end of prohibition. Whereas alcohol is not legal, however, you dumbass, don't be driving around drinking.
Right.
And all that other
Right.
Okay, got it.
Right. If you're in a
Now I know what I do when I start smoking.
yeah, if you're in a place where they're having like a cannabis convention,
Right.
and you're all in that building smoking it,
Yeah.
it's fine.
They just had one in Vegas, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact.
exactly. But so we know that people are going to smoke this stuff.
Right.
Now, here's the problem with the cannabis industry right now, because it's still federal law still outlaws it.
Right.
So on the stock market's about supply and demand, and there's all these little things to it. The baddest thing about the cannabis is it doesn't go through banks right now.
Yeah, banks ain't messing with it.
Right. Not right now, but because they're still trying to work it out. How are they going to do this? Because you got a lot of people that sell it illegally that are trying to money launder it through banks, which is why they
Right.
haven't worked it out yet. So right
Right.
now, it's a cash industry.
Right.
But this stock that I've gotten is corporations outside
Why
the
do you
United
think they're
States.
a part of it though?
Because they know that that's their next biggest.
I was sick of weed.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's their that's their next biggest crop. I mean, here I am. I've got a 100 acres of cigarettes,
So I
tobacco.
actually need to get in that.
Right. But now it becomes legal. I've got 300 acres
Right.
of cannabis because people are going to want that.
Okay, now I'm scared. You
This
know
is-
why? Because when this marriage, I see this is I'm not feeling well, y'all. So my mind is playing tricks on me. 300 acres of cannabis.
Cannabis.
They gonna need somebody to pick that shit.
Well, they got machines of it. It's no different than
Slavery,
tobacco. Right.
slavery coming back.
Well, and here's the sad thing. And you got niggas that will run over there and go pick it. Too.
Listen, I ain't picking no lip. Dear racism,
No.
I am not my grandparents.
Wait.
Sincerely, these hands. Okay,
No.
listen.
No, you want
I'm
me to
not
say-
picking cotton, tobacco. I said tobacco. Weed.
Well, here's the thing. I'm so pro-black, I won't even pick the cotton out of the aspirin bottle.
I won't pick the cotton out of my afro.
Okay, so, but the biggest problem with it and why the stock is so low right now is because, number one, the United States are trying to figure it out. But once they figure it out,
Right.
that stock is going to shoot
Kaboom!
up the boom because this is an international stock.
I got to get in on that.
So if here we are, once again, doing group economics, I'm
Right.
trying to tell you how white people and financial people make their money. You buy when it's low.
Right. And you know the beautiful thing about what Donovan is saying, and listen, no shade to people selling Bitcoin. I have a lot of people, always inbox me about it. And I keep saying I know a little bit about the Bitcoin thing, but not enough to invest. But the beautiful thing about what Donovan is saying is he's not gaining anything by telling you all, well, sure, eventually if enough people get in, then the stocks will go up.
Sure.
Okay, but that's still not
Right.
of no consequence to you right now. You're giving this information for free.
Right.
There is no, okay, well, listen, if you get in, then I get, bumped up, and which even still is nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that, but you're just telling people,
Get in while the getting's
get
good.
on and get in.
Get in while the getting's good because if you're in on the ground floor, okay, a good example is when the housing market went down.
Mm-hmm.
How many people made a killing when people lost their homes?
Right.
A whole lot of people made a
And
killing.
then swoop them homes up for dirt cheap
Dirt cheap, nothing.
and flip them
So
over.
it might take a year, 2, 3, 4 years before the United States gets their cannabis thing going. Because once it goes through the banks,
Right,
banks are on the stock market.
right,
This stock is already on the stock, but it's an international stock.
right.
Now, RJ Reynolds is a part of it. That's an American company. There's a corporation in Canada that's part of the stock, and all these other little things you got to understand. But it's at $34 a share right now.
I got to get in. I'm in.
Now, everybody's smoking and doing what they're going to do, right? Especially the young people that are doing that stupid stuff.
Right.
So why not
Right.
get into it while you can? $34?
Can't beat that. I mean, you're going to trick off $34 at dinner.
I mean, get in while the getting's good. And then when that stock does get regulated and it does go up, and you're going to be right there. And next thing you know, boom, boom, boom. That $34 investment that you just made is now $200 something.
Right.
Doing that. I have stock in Disney. I have stock in Lockheed Martin, all the defense industries, Facebook. I've got stock in all these things. That's what I'm saying. Us as a people, we don't do it legally.
Right.
Now, there's a lot of us in the cannabis trade, but it's illegal.
Right.
Get into the legal side of it and just be ready.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
You know, I mean,
Makes sense to me.
Because I'm telling you, a lot of my Caucasian friends, they're buying this stock up like there's no tomorrow because they know down the road. Because who's predominantly being locked up for using this stuff? Us. And white folks too, but I'm just saying young people like that.
Well, you use the word predominantly.
Yeah, predominantly it's us. So, hey, it's from the earth. Like I said, I would love to go down there, down to Jamaica and say, hey, yeah, keep smoking. Y'all keep doing what y'all gonna do because I'm getting paid. So it's a stock out there. I'm going to share it with you guys. You guys check it out. D, I've given it to you. I put it out on Facebook. So if you're interested in this stock, there's an app you can use. It's called Stash. There's all kinds of little investment apps.
Right.
Get involved in those investment apps. It's $5 for a stock, $10 for a stock. And this stock is a group stock. So it's a bunch of corporations grouped together.
Right.
But at
Okay.
$34, why not? Disney stock right now is $125 a share.
Really?
Just for Disney by itself.
Even with that, with the Black Panther kicking ass, huh?
It's probably, I haven't checked it since, but it's probably even up
Oh,
more
God,
than
I
that.
imagine so.
So, I mean, that's what we got to stop doing. Let's stop dealing with the illegal aspect of it and start getting into the legal. Do what
Right.
what they do. When in Rome, do as the Romans.
Right. Sometimes.
Sometimes. But that's a lot of my Caucasian friends are investing in the cannabis.
Well, I mean, it's a smart thing to do. It's a smart thing to do.
So that's my little financial tip. And like again, Dr. Cooper, that's what he talks about, economics and stuff. We need to start group economics.
Oh, absolutely.
Doing things together.
Got to.
So as a group, if we can get together and invest in like me and D, if we invest in a stock together, two's better than one, hey, we better our chances. Now, we might not get paid for 5 years,
That's okay.
but when it hits, it's going to hit.
Right. The stock market is a long-term game, not a short-term game.
Exactly. Then we have your brother to help us financially move forward. But I also want to also tell you guys about, again, an organization that I'm involved with, lotusinc.org. Very good organization. If you don't have cancer, I'm sure you know somebody who's had or is going to have. Right? I have an aunt right now. She's going through stage 4 cancer, which is a shock. And I'm going to tell you,
She just find out about it?
She just found out about it. But then again, our family's a little stubborn. And, once again, this woman's been smoking all her life. And it's not a smoking.
And you know what? You got to go to the doctor. It's not always something you want to do. Like I had a mammogram Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I got the results back today saying I'm cancer free, which I knew that, but it was just that quick.
Right. With the technology they got now. Another good thing that I want to bring up too is we don't get our STD checks. Every time.
Listen, I don't have a need.
No. But for those that don't have a need, but what I'm saying is for those of you guys that are out there, every time I get blood drawn, I say I want the whole thing done.
I actually have mine every time around my birthday.
Yeah. But every time, so
Right.
I do mine back 3 or 4 times a year.
You just because you're going to get a check doesn't mean you have something.
Right.
It doesn't indicate,
it
I'm
makes
eating
you feel
ass,
better.
whatever. Listen, it's better to just, even though with the same partner you haven't had, whatever, because we know AIDS lie dormant.
Right.
And they could pop up. They say sometimes 3, 4 years or
10
whatever
years down the road.
comes up. So it's nice and wise to be tested. That way you can say, I got a clean bill of health. Duh, I knew that.
Right. And also, you got to be real with yourself. Like I said, when I was younger, I was out there doing my thing.
Well, I wasn't out there.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm using myself as an example. I mean, you really got to be real with yourself because, it does happen, whatever the deal
You was
is.
getting that thing around.
Yeah. Knock on wood. I mean, even if you protected yourself, the condom comes off or things happen, body fluid exchange or whatever, and, it happens. But
Right.
in our community, especially, we do not get our STD checks, and that's why a good example like chlamydia, that is a bacterial infection. Okay, people, it's categorized under STDs.
Right.
But you can give it to me, I can give it to you, and we can go back and forth, and
Right.
it just get worse and worse and worse as
Right.
these strains are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So please do these checkups. Black folks, we need to start going to the doctor.
Absolutely.
Especially those of us that have signed up for Obamacare. Why are you paying that money and you're not going? Yeah, I know it's only $15 or whatever it is.
And
but
some
you're paying
people
it.
it's free.
Right.
Absolutely free.
Right, you
It's
just go.
free 99.
Right.
Well, free to them, but somebody's paying for it.
Right,
I
somebody's
mean,
paying
even if you have a job, sometimes you don't make enough to,
Sure.
to cover yourself, so you get Obamacare. It's Obamacare, okay? It ain't Trump care. But no, you definitely need to be aware of your health in every way, shape, or form. Not just STDs, not just cancer, but everything from head to toe. As like I said, I just came back a couple weeks ago from burying a good friend of mine.
Sure.
Who was like a brother to me. He had the flu and refused to go up until the timing was too late, and ultimately it cost him his life.
California native, Eazy-E.
He didn't realize he had the AIDS
Right.
until he had the
And
AIDS.
the thing.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you one thing about my aunt. She just found out, whatever, for whatever reasons, whatever the deal is. Now, she's old school, whatever. Now, the sad thing is she's going through this process, which is going to be very painful, and you went through it with your mother.
What kind of cancer, child?
I believe it's pelvic.
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah.
when she was young, she had a tubal pregnancy or something.
Okay.
But anyway, so now it's going to fall on her daughters to take care of her now.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the insurance?
She doesn't have insurance.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm just saying.
Hopefully she has insurance.
Knowing how.
Well, she has she has a pretty stable nephew.
Yeah, but I have a mom to take care of.
Your mom's healthy.
Yeah, but still. but this goes back to this financial show. This is what we're talking about. You don't know when the time is, but our loved ones will get older. Get some insurance.
And to that
on
point
these
too,
people.
because you make an excellent point about taking care of your loved ones. We should all get long-term insurance. Long-term care insurance is what it's called. Because God forbid either one of us drops sick, unless we have the money to have somebody come in and take care of us, it is going to go on a child or your children to take care of you. But if you have the long-term care insurance, that insurance says, okay, you know what, you got cancer or whatever the case is. This insurance will pay for somebody to come into your home and care for you, in addition to writing a check for you while you're out, or down for the count. So because listen, I can imagine being very ill, in addition to shouldering the thoughts that I got bills, my house note, my car note,
children,
all of that stuff. You can't, if you're not well mentally, you're going to suffer physically. Yeah. And so long-term care insurance, and listen, me and Donovan don't even have the ability to sell you guys that. We're not even recommending you go to nobody. Find somebody that can get you long-term care insurance. It's better to get it when you're younger because you're more healthier. When you're older, a lot of times people get denied because they're like,
you have a pre-existing condition.
And you're old enough to be getting something, and we don't, because insurance companies make money when you live, not when you die. They make money when you're healthy, not when you're sick.
So, I mean, we don't know the time, we don't know the place, but this is what we're talking about in finances. And this is all grouped in the financial aspect. Insurance, that is how Caucasians keep their money in their communities. Insurance, they insure everybody over there. So
absolutely. And
then we're paying for it. And in our community, GoFundMe.
I want to ask you this question before we leave, and I'm not saying this has never existed. I'm just telling you, I've never seen it, never, ever, ever, not once. And there's a lot of white people running around the United States of America. But how many times have you seen a white person standing on the corner anywhere asking you to help them bury their child? I'm not saying white people don't have insurance, but I've never seen it. Have you ever seen it?
That's a good question. I've never seen it. You're right.
I always see us and other people of color doing it.
Right.
Trying to sell fish dinners or whatever.
Right. And then those of us that have a military background, or Uncle Otis that was in the Army or whatever the deal is, if you don't have the money to bury him, he's a veteran, he or she is a veteran, they have death benefits and they can be buried.
Right.
At little or no cost. So that's a thing you need to look into as well. Why do we tell you this? Because we give a damn. That's why. So, again, Dee, this week's coming up. What are you going to be talking about Sunday?
People send me stuff all the time that want me to talk about, or I just never know really up until Friday or Saturday.
Saturday, what you're going to talk about?
Or I can sit down and actually do some research, so you never know.
Okay, Demetra K, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook Live. You guys come and check her out. She'll be talking to Rio, and she will be with her good friend Tylen the cat.
The badass cat.
The badass cat. And I'm Donovan Sadiq. I mean, I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and we've got to start practicing group economics, and we're going to be left behind, which we already are. We are already behind the 8 ball.
We already remember when Rerun was chasing the truck.
Yeah,
down the street. We're Rerun.
We're Rerun. Yeah. And there's no reason why we should be in that situation.
Right.
All right, you guys, take care. We'll see you guys again next week. I'm Donovan Sadiq with my partner in crime, Demetra K. We'll see you guys next week.